Today, William, yes it's William, William and I are out in a Carrera T. Certainly one of my favourite 911 models in the modern range. And I see a lot of people in other people's YouTube reviews that say things like, this is the budget GT3 and other stupid shit like that. Well, to me, the Carrera T is a superior model to just about everything else in the range. Well, I know that most of us Porsche fanboys are reluctant to admit it, but the further down the range in the 911s, the better the cars, frankly. That's right. What are you talking about, Nick? How can the Turbo S or the GT3 be anything but the best cars in the range? They're the most expensive and the fastest. Well, the reality is that the Turbo S isn't that exciting to drive compared to other models, including this model. And the GT3 models, well, they're fantastic when you're revving the balls out of them. They're really difficult cars to live with. Even Chris Harris said of his GT3 Touring the other day, every other model in the range is easier to live with than that car, and he wishes he had, other models. So yes, it's true. The GT3s are fantastic cars, but living with them day to day and driving on public roads is no fun. Whereas the lower down models, like this model, are fantastic to live with every day. So if you take my theory that the lower down the 911 range you go, the better the cars are, surely then the base Carrera is the best car in the range. Well, it certainly is a great car, but there's three reasons that hold the base Carrera back from being an amazing car. The first one is that it's missing the rear limited slip diff, which is ridiculous that Porsche hobbles the car that way. So in any sort of wet weather or any conditions where you're really pushing the car, it's really only a one-wheel drive at the back. That is not the case with the Carrera T. The Carrera T gets the limited slip diff, so you got all the traction you need. Secondly, they don't offer the base Carrera with the manual transmission. Another ridiculous decision by Porsche, but yeah, once again, the Carrera T gets the manual transmission, not just the manual transmission, but a slightly lower ratio transmission with the nice stubby gear stick. It is one of the best in the industry. It is a joy to use manual transmission. Thirdly, and probably the biggest reason why you'd want to go for a Carrera T or a Carrera S over a base is the depreciation. That's right. On the second-hand market, people want a Carrera T or a Carrera S or a GTS. They don't want the base. So the base model Carreras always depreciate a lot faster than other models. And you might say, well, what about the engine, Nick? Surely people don't want the least powerful engine in the range. And I disagree. This is one of the nicest engines in the range. It has oodles of power. It's supposed to be 380 horsepower, but Porsche, of course, always way understate their horsepower. This is well over 400 horsepower. And of course, if you get a $1,000 stage 1 tune, this can be well over 500 horsepower. Very easy. Not that you'd want to do that, because I think this is just the right amount of horsepower. Less horsepower in these modern sports cars is a lot more fun. You get to push the car a little bit. And there's still mountains of torque. It is just the right amount of power, if you ask me. I absolutely would take this car with this engine over a Turbo S or even a GT3 any day as my daily driver. So basically the Carrera T is the base Carrera, but with everything fixed. A little bit sportier suspension, not too harsh. You get the limited slip diff, you get the manual transmission, and you get a little bit of glam from the better interiors and styling of the Carrera T. So that means the Carrera T holds its value in the used market. Now, as for this particular Carrera T, this is in shark blue. You know how I like a nice bright color. Shark blue looks great. I'm not such a big fan of painted interior, as you know, and this has got the painted shark blue interior, which it does definitely dress up this interior with, of course, the matching seat belts, which it would be a very dark interior without it. I'm still not sold on painted interiors. I personally think it feels kind of cheap in such an expensive car, but I can understand why people would do it. But really the reason I would take a Carrera T or a Carrera S for that matter over a GT3 or a Turbo S is that it's just a very easy car to live with, and it's still an enormous amount of fun to drive and still sounds great. It's everything you want in a sports car without being outrageously expensive like these upper models are. This is really where all the fun and usability's at, the Carrera T. Okay team, let's take a closer look at the Carrera T and the options on this particular car. At the time of recording, there is a $10,000 difference between the base Carrera and the Carrera T here in the US. What do you get for that $10,000? Well, a surprising amount. As we've already discussed, you do get the option of the manual transmission with the shorter throw. It's a totally lovely manual transmission. And you get the Porsche Torque Vectoring Plus, the limited slip diff on the back, which in my opinion makes the $10,000 upgrade totally worthwhile, those two things on their own. But there are a few other quotation mark performance items that are included in the Carrera T. The big ticket items being the sports exhaust, which is what, $3,000 right there. The Sport Chrono system, also around $3,000. The Sport Seat Plus, and in the case of this car, the owner has upgraded to the 18-way seats. And the 10mm lowering on the suspension. And the noise-cancelling lightweight glass on the back, which saves a couple of pounds on the back and lets in a little bit more of the engine noise. Right there, the value of all of those things are over 10 grand. Plus you get a bunch of trim items as well. You get the brushed black aluminium door sills, very nice. The titanium grey wheels, which are specific to the Carrera T, also very nice. Some painted trim here and there, including the mirrors. The Carrera T decal on the side, right there's a $1.75 value. And on the inside you get the Carrera T Sport Tech seats. And that's the thing about the Carrera T, is that there are some Carrera T only trim options, including these green seats with the stitching and the sport text green fleck in the middle, which are really cool. Obviously you have to have an exterior color that matches. They used to do it in the yellow. I don't think they do this generation with the yellow seats either. So yeah, you get a lot with the Carrera T package. So this Carrera T also has about $20,000 in tickable options, some of which are really value for money, some of which not so much. Let's go through a few highlights. First being a free option, the bass stereo, which is actually pretty good these days, and more common because the Bose stereo is currently unavailable. Yep, that's all you need. The bass stereo is perfectly fine. Next, $3,200 for this magnificent shark blue color. Yes, it really stands out. I likes me a good bright color, as you know, and shark blue is definitely that. Yeah, love the shark blue. Unfortunately, it's also been carried through to the interior, which I'm not so keen on. But if you want to brighten the interior, I guess painting the interior is one way to do it. And the owner of this car has extended that to the seatbelts as well. $540 for the shark blue seatbelts to keep the theme going. Around the front, $2,770 gets you the front humping option. Generally not necessary on Carrera models, but if you've got a particularly steep driveway, this could be the option for you. Next is a bit of a ridiculous option, the carbon fiber roof for an eye-watering $3,890. Porsche have been quite inconsistent with the facts and figures on this roof, and they've settled on saying 30% savings in weight on the steel/aluminium roof, but the general consensus is around £5. How much is £5? Well, it's the weight of a squirrel eating a cheesecake. So really not noticeable from a performance point of view. But if you love carbon fiber, this could be the roof for you, forking out $4,000 for it. And finally, an option I'm actually really excited about seeing, $130 for the dash cam pre-wiring from the factory. At last. This should be a must. And then I think it's $400 for the dash cam. The picture quality is great. There's a rear camera as well. It integrates nicely, has its own little app and everything. I think it's a must for every car having a dash cam. So I'm really pleased to see Porsche finally offering this in their cars. And by the way, it also runs power up to the rear vision mirror, so you can put a radar detector up there as well.
Attention, voice recording on. Recording started.
So there you have it, the Carrera T, the best all-rounder in the range, and where less is genuinely so much more. It's a model for people not looking to show off, but to just enjoy owning a sports car while still being able to drive it every day.